Hey folks, coming at you way late today, and didn't want you to think I totally forgot, but I did have a guest visitor coming in. One of our, esteemed members, our chairman, was in to visit, and we got caught up in strategy. So way overstepped my time cycle here, but just in case I get bonus points for having these things in an archive, or perhaps somebody is just kind of going, hey, 5:15, I wonder what he's saying. I'm going to give you a little bit of what was covered this morning on a global outlook and see if that maybe is interesting for you and useful. Hopefully it is. So let me start and go around the horn. Brazil, things are still kind of high with numbers there in the corona field, and obviously they're having some political issues with their president and such. Schools are going back in October. Originally it was supposed to be August, then moved to September. Now it's October. So at least kind of some movement there. The economy is showing some consistent and positive growth, but it's slow. Their PMI for July, 58, so jumping over that 50 points. So a little bit about what's happening in Brazil. Mexico also flattening the curve. International flights are pretty much back in cycle. The interesting thing there is USMCA. Off to a good start. They got about 350 million in new investment and new plant openings, expansions, so a lot of new manufacturing technology going into those new facilities being set up. So lots going on in Mexico. Carlos is our guy down there to talk to about opportunities. Obviously, you can always hit Ed from our home field here to give you a good idea of what's happening there as well. India, if we go around the cycle to those guys, they unfortunately are being hit with higher numbers, and the numbers are increasing. And you can see it a little bit with the PMI. So June's PMI was 47.2%. Actually going into July, it dropped down to 46. So not exactly good from that standpoint. Also, interesting thing happening in India, more and more incentives being put up by the Indian government for manufacturers to make their products in country. So it's part of this common thing you're seeing going on around the world. People want more capability of controlling their supply chains, and that's happening a big way in India as well. And their government's going to make sure they incentivize people to do it. Therefore, kind of investments to bring home more defense-based stuff, more aerospace stuff, and try to see if they can be more in control of their own destiny. Going around the cycle to China. COVID, they believe they've got control. They're saying the numbers for Shanghai, only 8 new cases. So based on the size of Shanghai, that would be pretty impressive at the end of the day. PMI numbers. PMI for June for those guys was 50.9, July 51.1. And in fact, if you go March through July, they've been in a positive 50 category. So their economic standpoint going pretty well. Machine tools show, they just got done having one. I forget the actual region that Lee was telling me, but they had 73,000 visitors. This took place July 18th. 73,000 visitors, 2,000 exhibitors. So a pretty good sized show. August 6th, there's another one coming up, a CNC show in Guangdong. And, so far they're kind of getting the full cycle going. And it's interesting to watch what's going on there. Economic output in March, they were tracking at a negative 1.1%. And now as we go into June, they're at a positive 4.4. Auto industry there, they pumped out 2.2 million vehicles in July. That's up 29%. So not too bad from the auto standpoint. Overall, if you look at where they're at this point in 2020 versus the previous year, they're only off 5%. Which is making up some pretty good ground. Foreign direct investment. This is another interesting one for China. Last point, then I'm going to let you go. Foreign direct investment, if you look at, these are people making investments into China. When we talk about everyone moving out of China and all the issues going on there, in the first 6 months, 4.2% increase from Hong Kong investments into China. 5% increase from Singapore, 6% from U.S. investments, ASEAN countries, almost 3%. These are those countries investing into China. So some interesting movement there. China plus one, we've talked about it previous time. Interesting that there's some things going on in the other direction, people putting investments into what clearly is one of the biggest growth markets in the world. So anyway, that was a really fast talk. Hope you captured all that. If not, the good news is this, like all of the other ones that we do, are live and recorded later. So they're live now, recorded for you to use later. So when you go back and replay this, you can actually take it down to 0.5 and actually play it back in slow motion, and it makes sense to you. If not, I'll be back at it trying again something on Thursday. Hope you found it helpful. Have a great evening. Sorry I was late, but covered a lot of cool ground today. So have a great one.